Delighted to welcome to the show Vincent Pastore. How's it going?
How you doing?
Fantastic. So you played the part of Pussy Sarah in The Sopranos from the first 2 seasons of the show. Did you and the rest of the cast have any idea what you had on your hands?
No. Going back then, we all auditioned in 1999, and we started shooting the pilot. And like a lot of pilots, you film them, but you never see them again. But we got the word that we got picked up for a year to shoot 12 more episodes. That we're going to use the pilot as episode 1. So we were all excited, and we went to work. And then they started to air season 1 while we were working on season 2, and everything started to blow up. That's when it went crazy.
Yeah, it definitely did. And unfortunately, your character was, of course, waxed in the finale of the second series. Did you know it was going to happen at the time, or was it very hush-hush?
Well, of course it was hush-hush. The press, nobody knew. It was top secret. In fact, I remember the night it aired, I had people from the Daily News and the New York Post actually sitting in my living room watching the show with me. Yeah, it was very hush-hush. Well, that was a strategy. In television, you don't know how long you're going to go. So, and what they want to do is give you the best each time it's on. So David wrote a season 2 with the intention of, getting rid of my character, getting me whacked, as you say. But I never knew when it was going to happen. In fact, we were in Italy shooting an episode, and I was over there with those guys. And Tony Sirico said to David Chase, "Is it true you're really going to get rid of Vinny?" And David said, "I'm not going to get rid of Vinny. I'm going to get rid of his character."
Was that the episode Commendatore, where they go to Naples? Or
Yeah. And David was doing a little Hitchcock thing, and that's when Tony went up and asked him. It was right there. That's really great that you remember that. Yeah, that's the memory. Jimmy was there. We were all there.
And what was it like working with James Gandolfini?
I had known James before Sopranos. We never worked together, but we were friends. Actually, we both kind of studied with the same acting teacher way at the beginning. And Jimmy was a great spirit. What was great about it is that we all started out from the bottom, working our way up that ladder. James never did a lead before. He was a supporting actor in all the movies. And now he's got a lead, and he's got to carry it. Little Steven never acted before. He just ran around doing rock and roll all those years with E Street. Lorraine, we know her from Goodfellas, but, we didn't see too much of her after that. Basketball Diaries, 1995, a few things, but this opened the door. It blew the door wide open for her and for Edie Falco. So that's what happened from that show.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many actors were considered to play the part of Tony Soprano. Stephen was considered, and also Ray Liotta was considered.
Yeah, well, they had to go with Jimmy. That's what made it so great. We talk about how does a heavy set, a big large gangster become a sex symbol all of a sudden on HBO, and he became a sex symbol to the girls, not to me. And Jimmy was his character. Tony was sleeping with everybody in the show. So, if Ray Liotta would have played that role, Ray's a sexy guy. He's skinny, but when I saw Jimmy sleeping with all those beautiful girls, I figured I got a chance too.
Well, you cannot imagine the part of Tony Soprano by anybody else, can you? I mean, James.
No,
Gandolfini.
not now. When we look back and we look at our work that we did, that he did, Michael and Steven are working a lot in New York. They both have television shows. I'm talking about Sharippa and Imperioli. I'm doing my thing. I'm working with Stevie's wife, Maureen Van Zandt. We got a theater company. We both teach down at the same school. We're doing our thing. Everybody's doing their thing. But there's not a day that doesn't go by where you don't think about when you worked with Jimmy, especially when you teach and you talk about relationship between the actors. And that's what Jimmy gave us. He gave us a relationship. It wasn't all about him. It was never about Jimmy. Never. Yeah, he would say to me, were you happy with that take? Do you want another one? Which is the position of a director. But Jimmy was taking over that set because he knew it was important for us to shine, to be the best. He had a vision of this show, and we just were writing back of him, just the way we were as the characters on the show.
To be honest, it was the first huge TV show, wasn't it, that was as big as a movie, if not bigger?
People here in the States were paying for television. They didn't want to pay for it before. You know, HBO was showing movies, but HBO wasn't doing television. Then all of a sudden they had Oz, Sex and the City. They had Sopranos, you know, on. And you know, now you look at Game of Thrones and everything that's coming out of HBO. But we talk about it all the time that Sopranos and Sex and the City and Oz, we came out of the gate first. You know, that's what that was about. And because of the success of those shows, I mean, I remember I was at a party for Dennis Leary. We were roasting Dennis Leary, and Kiefer Sutherland was there, and he came up to me and said, "Vinny, the reason why I'm doing 24 is because what you guys did on The Sopranos." And these guys meant that we were able to show, you know, when you say Ray Liotta was going to do the role, we were able to take people from the screen and put them into that show. Burt Young, Robert Loggia, Joey Pantaleone. So many actors came on and did guest spots because they wanted to be on that show.
Yeah, and also Frankie Valli was in it as well.
Frankie Valli was there. David Lee Roth had a little cameo. Frank Sinatra Jr.
The list goes on, and you're currently on tour with In Conversation with The Sopranos. You have many dates in the UK in May, including London on the 17th, Birmingham on the 24th, and Brighton on the 27th. What can the fans expect?
Well, we did 7 cities in Australia, and when we were doing Melbourne, our last city, the promoter, Roy, he says to Roger, our promoter from the States, he said, "You guys want to go to Great Britain?" And we had mentioned it, but all of a sudden this was the offer. And I said, "You want me to go to Great Britain with you guys?" And Sharippa said, "Of course we want you to come. The show's a hit." So what it is, to answer that question, it's almost like theater. It's like, I think if you saw the show a couple of times at different cities, you would see a similar show with different jokes, and, you know, the timing may be a little different. But basically, it's pretty much a down-pat show now. And there's talk about it going off-Broadway, maybe Broadway, I don't know. But taking us to Great Britain for this great tour is going to be fantastic. Last time I was in Glasgow, I did a movie called American Cousin with Dan Hedaya, and then I did Revolver with Guy Ritchie. We shot in London, and then we went to the Isle of Man. And then I was in then I went to Paris with Luc Besson. But Great Britain, I've never been to Ireland. I got to go to Ireland.
Well, that's got to be next on your list, yeah.
Yeah, I got to go there. I have relatives on my sister's side, and I got to see if I can. I'm going to stalk Van Morrison, see if I can find him. Because he's a Soprano fan.
Oh, I bet. Well, who isn't? Who isn't?
No, yeah, Van is, because there was he had a song of his on the show, and every time I
wasn't
see
it? Gloria?
No, it wasn't Gloria. It was, I think it could have been TV Sheets. It was something very not expected. It was a early Van Morrison song. See, David Chase was like that with the music, and Stephen helped him a lot.
Yeah, we've been
with the
playing
music.
quite a bit of it this evening, actually. Yeah, I mean,
Of the music? Oh yeah, the tracks.
some great tunes. Yeah,
Yeah. That was pretty good the way they put all that together.
and
Yeah.
you also acted in Goodfellas, didn't you?
Well, I came out of, I started acting in 1989. I did a couple of projects. Goodfellas, it looked like I was an extra, but I was working, and then things kind of took off later when I did Gotti for HBO, and I played Ruggiero, because then the people from HBO saw me in that, brought me in for Sopranos, and then things kind of took off. But when you talk about Goodfellas, I mean, I talk about it on stage. I was the man with the coat rack.
The Soprano has such a loyal following, doesn't it? There's even some fans that know it word for word, and you think, how can they know that? Because there's so many episodes, isn't there?
Well, if you're a fan of something, whether it's a lot of movies, a lot of gangster movies, people, even me with my cowboy movies, because I was just watching Shane Red Allen Land, and I practically know the whole movie word to word. But when people watch The Sopranos as much as they watch it, they learn the lingo, they pick up the mannerisms. It's like they know stuff from The Godfather and stuff from Goodfellas. They know the lines. That's an honor that you run into somebody and they say something. Like Frank Vincent, when people used to see Frank Vincent, they used to say to him, "Go get your shine box," because that was his line from Goodfellas.
Classic scene.
When they see me, they go like this, "Not in the face."
Well, yeah, of course, when you
Not
got
in the
whacked
face.
on the ship,
Not in the face. Not in the face.
Yeah, I watched that episode quite recently, actually, and
Oh, you did?
yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. And I like to talk about acting and the whole process, now especially since I'm teaching it. I did a take, and David said to me, "That's good, but stop begging." And he said, "Don't beg." And then I did another take, and he says, "We're going to use that one." So when you think you're there all day long doing stuff like that, not on television. You better be ready. That stuff that me and Jimmy did down in the basement when I first came back from Puerto Rico, or supposedly from Puerto Rico, we were doing that in 1 and 2 takes. You got to know your stuff. You got to have your homework done, And then when Jimmy starts to frisk you, and you don't think he's going to frisk you, didn't know where'd that come from, because he really didn't trust me. He didn't trust me as Tony. You understand? He didn't trust Big Pussy as Tony. Really frisked me, and my reaction was, "Whoa, take it easy." I don't know if that wasn't in the script, but you got to be in the moment. You got to know what's going on. Just go. Otherwise, don't do it.
How much of it was improvised? Was there?
No.
No.
David didn't believe in improvisation. He's on the other side of the coin from what Scorsese believes in. Scorsese will say, "Well, here's a given situation, and this is the outline. Let me see what you guys got." Why? And once they do rehearsal, they kind of like lock it in, and then they shoot whatever you rehearsed. But when you're working for David Chase, when you're working for any television, Hawaii Five-0, Blue Bloods, Law and Order, you got to stick to the script. You go off the script, they go nuts.
You're in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. They may send you home.
Speaking of films, you've just wrapped up a new film called The Birthday Cake, which also stars Val Kilmer and Lorraine
and William Fichtner and Lorraine Bracco and Ewan McGregor is in it.
Oh, wow. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, and Ewan's daughter's in it. I think Ewan was a co-producer on this.
Wonderful.
It's a really nice indie. And it was such a pleasure to be able to finally work with the great Val Kilmer. He's a treat. He's very funny. He doesn't stop fooling around, even when they say action. He was a treat. And I had a lot of fun on that. Yeah, I finished doing that about a month ago. I go see all of Guy Ritchie's movies. He's doing a lot of gangster movies again.
Yeah, he did one recently. Yeah, called The Gentleman.
Yeah, Gentleman. He just shot another one in L.A. with Jason Statham. He and Jason are working together again. I don't think they worked together since Revolver. But if you see Guy, or if he's listening, Vinny's here looking for a job.
We'll pass on the word to Guy Ritchie. We'll do that.
Yeah. Well, come on, he could be listening. Could be listening. You know, I'm hoping the word gets out because he's invited to come to any of our shows.
With Val Kilmer, I'm trying to think. Probably his best film was Heat. Do you remember that one?
Everybody says Tombstone over here, and Doc Holliday. Heat, he was great in Heat, but he talks to me about that when we were talking about that. He liked Heat, but he loved working with Kurt Russell on Tombstone. He lost a lot of weight for that too.
And also, I suppose with actors, it's not always necessarily the thing they had the big hit in that they'll necessarily like the best that they acted in.
Well, you know, when people ask me what's your favorite work, of course they're going to think I'm going to say Sopranos, which was a great run for me. But I have movies out there that, you know, like I kind of worship, and that I'll watch over and over again, that I'm in because I really love doing them. And one is Made with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. And I had a co-starring role, and I could watch my work, and I could say, you stayed in character, you were the limo driver, we believed you were the limo driver till the end of the movie, then we realized you were the gangster. You know, stuff like that. Serving Sarah with Matthew Perry and Liz Hurley, which really didn't do well in the theaters, but does very well on cable. I like and Revolver. I could watch Revolver. We have Revolver parties over my house where guys come over and see if they didn't see it before we put it on, and I said, figure it out. And they say, I got to see it again.
So, with this film, Birthday Cake, can you tell us a little bit of a plot?
Yeah. It opens up, the kids are young. One kid, like in Angels with Dirty Faces, one kid goes to jail. The other kid grows up to be a little straight. The kid gets out. The reason about the birthday cake is that, and I don't want to tell the ending of it, but Lorraine Bracco, who plays the mother, makes a cake, gives it to her son, says, bring the cake to the party, I'm not going. And he goes on this odyssey with the cake, and then finally gets to running into different characters in the neighborhood, and then he finally gets to the party, which is just men, and then he gets paranoid because he thinks they're going to kill him. Because his best friend, who went to jail when they were young, who got out of jail, they think he's an informer for the mob because he got out of jail too early. So he's paranoid about going over to Kilmer's house, and he's Angelo, and I play his right-hand man. And, you know, Val had a problem recently. He was sick and he has a problem speaking. He's getting better. But what we did to make it a little easier for him and harder for me is that we took a lot of his dialogue and they gave it to me, so he would like whisper to me and then I would say what he wanted to say. And they put in the storyline that his character got shot in the throat. So and I'm so proud of Val to do this because I know it was hard for him to do the film, but he doesn't want to stop working. In fact, I think he's doing another movie right now as we speak. And he's running around with a play about Mark Twain in the States, you know. So Val, he's a legend.
Yeah, and as you mentioned a play, you're also working with Stephen and Maureen Van Zandt with the Renegade Theatre Group. What can you tell us about that? Yeah,
Maureen and I formed the theater group. We always were working together, but then we finally formed a group, and we do work. Usually in New York City, at the Cutting Room, which is great for music. I'm down there with my band all the time, and little Stephen comes in there and does work. But we go in and we do some serious theater. You know, people eat. It's like dinner theater, and we'll do a show. And we're doing a play by Renee Tiller and Joe Bologna called Lovers and Other Strangers. And Maureen and I are also at the school where I teach, and we're working on a play there. So we work together a lot, Maureen and I.
Great. Well, it's been wonderful having you on the show, Vincent.
What show are you coming to? You're coming to the Palladium, I hope.
I'll either come to the Palladium or the Brighton show, because you're in Brighton as well.
Well, I bet the Brighton show, it won't be as insane.
Oh, I better come to the London one then.
Oh, you want to come to the Biggie? Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, we're doing the Palladium. I mean, I know Judy Garland sang there.
Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful
She did.
theatre.
Okay, that's exciting. I said to little Steven the other day, we're doing the Palladium because we've been running around. It's like on his coattails. He runs around with little Steven, Disciples of Soul, and we've been playing in the same theaters in Australia and then recently in Saudi Arabia. It's crazy. And I said, we're going to Great Britain. He said, where? And I told him a couple of theaters. He said, you doing the Palladium? I said, yeah.
Wonderful, isn't it?
That's crazy. All right, nice talking to you.